What's up, my people? Welcome to Reality After Dark. It's your boy Mark, and I'm here. This week has been a whirlwind. It's only Tuesday, but with everything I've done between Sunday and Tuesday, feels like it feels like Friday at this point. But I have a lot to do still. I have a lot to catch up on, but the biggest pieces of excitement of the week are pretty much over for me, and now it's like the business part of the week. It's Wednesday actually, and therefore I have no more breathing room to do these side missions or side quests that I've been doing. So now it's just time to really it's the unexciting, boring part of the week. Something happened today actually during my work day that kind of annoyed me. Hi, Tricity. If anything, y'all know, hearing me talk about Mark's life, is that when a client has a complaint about me, not just me, but generally a client in my particular job, not my job as in my line of work, but this particular company, I should call it, when they have a complaint, hi Marshall, they say, I want to speak to your supervisor. You tell the supervisor's on the phone with them quick. They're sitting there with a pen and a notepad. What did Mark do that made your life so miserable? Okay, let's write it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then they'll have a meeting with me. Mark, so and so said that you did this and that and you ruined their life and this and that and the other. How are you going to change that? And I'm like, that didn't happen. This didn't happen. That didn't happen. That might have happened, but there's reasons behind that happening, and that didn't happen. And those conversations are very annoying because they never protect us, the people who actually work for the company. They're always in favor of the person who, with peace and love, is mentally ill, and oftentimes even their mental illness is ones that involve delusions and manipulations and things like that. But anyways, I had somebody I had someone tell me they ruined their life actually at this job. I had started working with that guy for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most. I want to say it was about 2 weeks. I met him 2 times. And I didn't even know his whole background story. Like, I found out later that his background story was that he was in housing, and then he hit a woman, and then he got kicked out of his housing. Then he somehow got a girlfriend after that, and he was beating his girlfriend, and then his girlfriend kicked him out of the house, and he ended up in a homeless shelter. And somehow all of that was my fault, and I ruined his life. Oh boy, I'm so glad that I don't have to work with that guy anymore. But anyways, I say all that to say, I had somebody today tell me that I'm the best case manager they ever had, and they think that I really deserve a promotion. I never, like, this is what, I don't think I have ever heard anyone that I have assisted at any job tell me that they think I deserve a promotion. I mean, I've been given compliments, maybe one or two people over the years, but not the way that he said it. He was just like, I think that you should be the type of work that you've been doing with me and the things that you've been able to help me with. He told me that he has been working with our company with different case managers since 2007, and told me that I was the best one, and I was very thorough with him, and I helped him resolve the majority of the things that he's been trying to get help with for years. Granted, I know that his issues were not quite as big as the people who are trying to get housing, or they're trying to get Social Security, SSI or SSD, that type of thing. But I'm baffled at the fact that the things that he needed, which to me were like pretty minor things, were things that other case managers did not get him in how many years would that be? 17 years. Long story short, he said, I want to get in touch with your supervisor. So I said, okay. I told my supervisor that my client wants to get in touch with her in order to get about my performance. She looked at me like I had two heads. Like, why do I need to call him for that? And I'm sitting here and saying to myself, if you can call them for everything else, if I show up 2 minutes late to somebody's house and you can call them for that, why can't you call for someone to tell you that I'm doing a good job? I mean, that's all. That really bothered me. That really bothered me. I have to take it with a grain of salt. My uncle, AIDS boss, always says how many people complain to her about her people and what she hears, and I'm always telling her how wonderful they all are. People are not realistic. They're not. So I think I titled this live about luck. That was just something I wanted to get off my chest first. I titled this about luck. Something that annoys me is when people tell me how lucky I am. When I posted a couple of clips of my Cara Maria interview, people said to me, "You're so lucky." When you see the full interview, which I plan to post this weekend probably, I'm aiming for posting it this weekend. I even went through the whole story with Cara about how I wanted to get an interview with her like 2021 or so, and I reached out to her management team. They told me she's not doing interviews at the moment. She's taking a break, whatever. So I had to just put that dream to the side, and then I did other things, and then circled back to it. I didn't circle back to it, actually. I randomly saw that she was going to be in New York. Hey, I'm going to be in New York at this fibroids event. I went, and I positioned myself there. Because if I had just showed up, right, there's no luck about this. If I had just showed up to the event and said, hey, Cara, nice to meet you. I'm a fan of the challenge. I'm a fan of yours, whatever. Is it possible that she still does this interview with me? Yes. I mean, you could say that I could have paid for the interview anyways, so you could say, yeah, you could have gotten the interview definitely 100%. But what I mean by that is, if I show up and I just tell her I'm a fan of yours and that's the end of it, we have a conversation about elimination wins or wins that she's had on the show, fights that she's had, the typical stuff that a fan talks to you about. We don't have the same connection at that point, right? So then I think to myself, what can I do that would be something that she would remember? And if I can achieve something memorable that is different and valuable to her, it might be something that grants me a networking opportunity in the future. So this is a part I didn't mention, because this was not like a public thing. This is actually my first time mentioning this part. I didn't even mention this part in the interview because it wasn't really relevant. Oh, thank you, Marshall. See if I can pin that. Yeah, I agree. They're just jealous that I got the opportunity. A person makes their own luck. I totally agree. Work very hard for everything. I totally agree. I don't believe in luck at all. I'm not a luck person. So, anyways, yeah. So this is the part that I said. This is kind of an exclusive in a sense, but it's not really an exclusive. I just haven't mentioned this before. Right after that event, the first time that I met her, not the second time when I dressed up as Carl, the first time when I met her, I reached out to her and I was like, hey, Cara, I have a page, I have a YouTube page. It's called Mindful Reality. This is what I discuss on the page. I do interviews on the page. And I was like, I would love to have you on my page to do an interview. And she said, sure, I'd love to do an interview with you. This was not through any booking or anything. This is not through booking her or paying for anything. She just said she would do it for free. She had actually said that. But then she said, my schedule is extremely busy and I'm traveling a lot. So I don't have any kind of free time anytime soon. So I was like, all right, so I'm going to reach out, maybe in a month or so. Because mind you, I met her June of last year. It's like, I'm going to reach out to you in July. Let's say end of July. Reached out end of July. Hey, Cara, how's it going? Seeing how you're doing and if you have time to do this interview, if your time is any better than it was before. She's kind of like, no, it's actually even worse. So here I am now. I reached out a month later. We're into July. I give it a couple more months. I think I might have asked her about, if you include the very first time when I asked her management, and then the amount of times that I asked her last year, I probably asked her 5 or 6 times. I mean, she never said no. I will say that. The answer was never no, but the reason I came to the conclusion that I was probably better off making it a transaction despite the fact that she was telling me she wants to do it for free is because when somebody is like busy doing a bunch of things for work, you're not gonna pause. Like, so when you have free time, you're not like, I'm gonna do this interview with this podcaster. You're like, I want to relax. And I felt like that was really the case of what was happening. And I don't think that it was because she didn't want to do the interview with me. I think it was like a similar thing as a Wes thing, like what happened with me and Wes, where it was like, I like this guy, I want to do an interview with this guy, but I have such a small amount of free time, and during that free time, I want to rest. So to tell y'all the truth, listen, I actually said to her, thank you so much for offering me the opportunity to get you to do this interview with you for free. But I said, I do freelance work myself, and I understand that your time is valuable, and I am willing to pay the money to lock you in. And also, I know that money goes to support your life and your lifestyle. So forget about it. We don't have to do the free one. I will pay you for it, and we can lock it in that way. She says, okay. This was like November-ish. And then she said, I'm not going to be free until January. So this was not some random thing that just popped up where it was like, oh, I just ran into her and I was like, hey, Cara, can I get an interview? this is something that took like time. It took patience on my part. It took some endurance. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm not trying to make it sound like it's anything crazy, but I am saying meeting Hannah and developing friendships with certain people and getting certain interviews. I work hard for those. There's people with channels that they will go on just because, oh, your Rob has a podcast. Rob has a podcast is one of the most recognized podcasts for reality TV, and this is a guy who was on Survivor. So definitely, you don't even have to ask me twice. The Winner Circle at one point, I think the Winner Circle has somewhat disbanded, but when the Winner Circle was in its peak with Cody and Derek, it's Cody and Derek, like we're gonna get on there because it's Cody and Derek. I shouldn't say I am not, because this is not the case currently. I was not anybody in these communities. I'm not saying I was not anybody, period, but I mean, I was not anybody in the challenge community, the Big Brother community, or the Survivor community. I made myself that person by making myself visible, sending out hella emails, doing hella networking, asking once, twice, 3 times. So if you see me with something like that particular interview, we're talking 3 years of not giving up, 6 to 7 months of trying to find a time to fit into her schedule. This is a culmination of that. And then staying ready so that when the time actually came for her to be like, boom, this is the time that I have for you, I was ready. Funny enough, like, I paid her for that already, right? I already paid her for the interview since November. And she said, when January rolls around, I will give you a time when I'm free. So it wasn't even like I had a time like, oh, we're going to do this on January 6th. It became January 6th. She gave me that date probably 2 weeks before we actually did the interview. VIP Marshall, you heard him. I think the transaction probably, it did. It like, I have no doubt she's doesn't strike me as, honestly, I don't think that she's somebody who would just say she's going to give me a free interview without having an intent to give me a free interview. So if I had an indefinite timeline, I sure would wait for that interview. If I was like, oh yeah, if she interviews with me like September of 2025, I don't care when it is. Like, I just want that checked off my list. I would have just waited and kept asking periodically until it happened, because I did that with 1 or 2 other people who their interviews were not as important to me time-wise. But this was important to me because of, not just because of the interview, but because of the timing. The timing was just right, and I was like, I need to have this happen right at this exact time. So I was like, I have to pay to make this a priority for her. And what I said is true. I understand that it's a business. I understand that she pays her bills and her rent with these things that she does. Is your connection that made it? Exactly. Because if I had just booked her straight off of that, I never met her, and there was no connection, I basically just would have gotten probably the bare bones of an interview. She probably would have given me the minimum time, which actually would have been half an hour because she changed it on her thing after I booked her. I would have gotten 30 minutes probably, and that would have been it. Because I've seen her do, if you go on YouTube right now, you can see that she did plenty of 10 to 15 minute interviews. I gave up. I kind of gave up on Big Brother interviews unless the person is 2 years out, because that's the only interviews I've gotten from Big Brother. Because I asked Tucker, I asked Matt, I asked Kenny even. I asked Tucker, Matt, Kenny. Who else did I meet? There was one other that I can't think of. Was it just those three? Tucker, Matt, Kenny. Yeah, I guess it might have been just those three. And then I asked several people from BB25. Like, I asked Blue. I asked Izzy. I didn't get to ask Sari because she left that event so quickly. I asked Mama Fee. I mean, Mama Fee said yes. I have Mama Fee's number. I used to text her every once in a while, but yeah, Rob Sorrentino was on Survivor years ago. I wasn't watching Survivor at that time. Yeah, I know. I know that Cody's doing it alone. That's what I meant by disbanded. Like, as in, it was called the Winner Circle because it was the two of them that made that thing together. And that's actually what I liked about it. I like Cody, but it's not the same without Derek. Like, that was something that was cool as a duo. And then I liked when Tiffany joined them too. Like, that was a cool addition. Tiffany on the live feeds. But with just Cody, he's not necessarily my favorite as a podcaster, as a vlogger. Did they say yes? Did who say yes for what? I don't know what you're asking, Marshall. I don't know this Rob guy. I actually met Rob. I met Rob shortly after the Big Brother 20. I met him at the Big Brother 26 premiere party, as a matter of fact. I met him there. And I met Sharon Tharp there also. I liked Sharon Tharp more than I liked Rob. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, Rob was okay, but Sharon was much nicer to me than Rob. And I'm not saying that Rob wasn't nice. Don't get me wrong. But Sharon Tharp, so both of them. Let me tell you something. People are always like, why don't you work with this podcaster? Why don't you work with that podcaster? Something I learned getting into this Big Brother space is that most podcasters or vloggers, because this is not a podcast, but most vloggers think that they have to compete with you in order to get ahead. So I don't ask vloggers to work with me anymore. When I first started, I can name the people that I was working with. There was AT2. There was Retro. There was, who else? AT2 and Retro. Nick Shorts. I think that's it. Nick Shorts. And then recently, I've gotten involved with Brian, who's a really cool guy. And, Brian is the only channel that I'm, like, actively involved with at all at this point. So these channels do not offer olive branches. So I never feel like anyone is my competition because, and that's not even me saying that I'm better than other people. It's just like, you don't do what I do and I don't do what you do. Even if we're covering the same topics, my own flavor is there, my own personality, your own flavor, your own personality. We could never really duplicate each other. Like you, especially for Big Brother. Can you imagine you sit down for like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours watching live feeds, and you and another person get on a YouTube live, and you're focused on the exact same things? There's just too much going on for two brains to think alike. I say all that to say, when I spoke to Rob, he made a joke. I was like, hey, Rob, I'm an aspiring vlogger. It's like, I've watched your channel for a while, and I want to get to where you're at one day. What advice do you have for me? He's like, don't put me out of business. I mean, he was possibly joking, but I also kind of felt like it was a half joke with some truth to it. And I was hoping to get some advice, legit. I was hoping for him to give me some advice that I could take with me and run with it. He didn't give me much. When I spoke to Sharon, I told her something similar. You know, I watch your channel, I like your interviews. Would you be able to give me some advice? And she gave me some advice. She gave me some solid advice. She talked to me for a good at least 5 to 10 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot. Whenever I tell people such and such spoke to me for 5 minutes at an event, they're like, oh, 5 minutes. Now, when I went to Challenge Mania a couple months ago and met up with Kara over there, a guy stood there with a watch, with a phone, and put the timer on 90 seconds. And he said, take your picture with them, and then as soon as the picture is done, I start the 90-second timer. That's one instance, right? A Big Brother event and a Survivor event are events where they're packed with fans, and there's probably like 40 to 50 cast and crew, and we're all in there like a sardine can. So having somebody's attention for 5 minutes, for them to have a real conversation with you, and for them not to be pulled somewhere else within that 5 minutes is a lot. It's legitimately a lot. I don't know him really through you. I know him through the people on my channel that talked about him. Because when I started vlogging, the only channels that I knew that did vlogging was Big Brother Boy, and I previously knew AfterBuzz TV, which I mentioned in my car interview, which is unaired yet, but you'll see me mention it. I believe that's it. Was there any other recap channels that I used to watch? Oh, I had seen Mike Lewis podcast. I had seen like some of Mike Lewis podcast. And I want to say, because I didn't know any of the Big Brother bloggers, and I didn't watch Big Brother or Survivor, so I didn't even know who any of these people were at that time. I didn't know who Rob was. When somebody told me that Rob was on Survivor, that was like a year after I already had seen his channel, and I had no idea he was a former Survivor player. Because I started watching Survivor like, I think season 42 or 43. Oh, now I get what you're saying, Marshall. So I've never seen anyone else say, I will do an interview for X amount of money. Like, Kara's thing that I saw was the first time I ever saw somebody say, I'll do an interview for this amount of money. Because, honestly, if other people had that option, I would pay for my interviews. Not that I would do this indefinitely, but if the guest was worthwhile to me, and I thought that it was something that could boost my platform, I would pay. I would pay for it until I got a platform that was big enough so that I didn't have to do that. But in the beginning, in the earlier days, for sure I would do that. But I've never seen anyone else have something like that. Yeah, everyone that I asked that was on Big Brother or Survivor, except for the people that were out of their 2-year deal, said send an email to CBS production, and I did that, and I got no result. I never got a response from them. Who's got on here a few times? Who is that you're talking about? I'm sure there's probably a little truth, or why say it. That is a lot to have someone's attention in an event. I never watched him once, and I found you for BB. Just stayed here. Yeah, I've been doing late night videos. Van Hood, what's up? Brian. Yeah, Brian is a breath of fresh air to, I don't know if he covers, I don't know if like Big Brother is the only thing that he watches in terms of these things, but I was happy to find Brian. Oh, good luck with that, Van Hoot. I was happy to find Brian because Brian does not have a hating bone in his body. He supports. Anytime I jump on his lives, he will be like, attention everybody, this is Mark's channel. Here's a link to his channel. Support him. Actually, the first time he came on my page, he put a $5 donation. He put a $5 super chat and was like, I love your page, whatever he said on there. And then I was like, who's this Brian guy? Then I went and checked out his page and I liked it. I liked it because he covers Big Brother in a similar way as me, in a sense of, I'll be talking about Big Brother, but I'll be talking about my life at the same time. Like, I'm not obsessed with Big Brother, to be honest with you. I like Big Brother. I'm not obsessed with it. Oh, WWE. Nice. I was saying something and then I forgot. Oh, I guess I was just looking at the comments. Yeah. So the one that I've told you guys about before that stands out in my mind was when I went to that Big Brother pop-up thing that Tucker and Matt and Kenny were at. And Hannah showed up fashionably late, as she always does. And when she walked in, she was just swarmed by the fans. I mean, it was a little rooftop that we were on. Got on the rooftop, and I heard people screaming, ah! And I was like, I wonder who it is. And she's like 5'3", 5'2". I couldn't see her over the crowd. And then I finally kind of saw her through the crowd. I was like, oh, it's Hannah. So she walked over to the back. I was like, at this point, I've met Hannah like 3-4 times. She's interviewed on my channel. We've emailed back and forth a little bit. So I don't have a real need to like swarm her and press her to talk to me. So I was like, let me just wait until I have an opportunity when the crowd dissipates a little bit. And so the crowd didn't dissipate. They were just around her. And then I was like, let me make my way over there just so that I can say hi, even if we don't have a whole conversation, just so that I can say hi really quick. So I walked over there, and as soon as she saw me, she looked at me like I was rescuing her. Because she walked out of that circle that she was in and came over to me and gave me a hug and was like, hey, Mark, it's good to see you again. I didn't expect her to leave the crowd to do that. And then I spoke to her for a little while, and then when she was done speaking to me, this guy walked over to me and was like, Mark. He didn't say Mark. He didn't know my name. But he was just like, God, whatever he said. He was like, way to ruin my chance to get my picture. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, I was in the line to get a picture with Hannah, and I was right at the front of the line, and then you walked over, and she walked away. This isn't a meet and greet, my guy. This was not a meet and greet. Meet and greets are different. I'll tell you how. A meet and greet is like, well, first of all, she wasn't even on the flyer. So she just popped up because she is such a strong supporter of Azah. Anything that Azah throws or Big D throws, she's gonna be there, especially because she doesn't live particularly far from New York. She lives like around where my sister is living. So she's about a 3.5 hour drive, or not drive because she takes the bus. So probably like a 4 hour bus ride or so from like DC, where she's living, to where I am in New York City. So if the event is close by, matter of fact, not even if it's close by, because I've seen videos of her at the California events and at the Michigan events. So she goes to all those things to support. But the point is, like, she had no obligation to be in a line, to have a lineup and to take pictures with the fans. And honestly, it's not like that. At the Challenge Mania events, they are set up like Comic-Con. So you're going to get your picture because of the way that they are set up. What I mean by that is they will put the challengers in a room, and then people will stand in line, and you get a certain amount of time. Take a picture with them, you can talk to them for a few minutes, and then it's like next up in line. But these events don't really work like that. People just get it where they can fit it, basically. Like, you just got to try to grab them if you can. And there's a chance where you might see somebody and then think, oh, here's my opportunity to talk to them. And then you turn your head for a second, and then they're gone. Because I'm telling you, like, when I saw Sari, I did speak to Sari for a little minute. When I say a little minute, I literally mean like 2 to 3 minutes. And then I thought, well, she's going to be here, so I'm going to get a chance to ask her to be on my channel. The way she sneaked out of there like a thief in the night. Like, some of these people, you got to grab them, because they're going to show up and they're going to leave early. And they're going to leave quickly. Like, I'm just going to show my face in here, and then I'm going to bounce. But yeah, I didn't really feel bad for that guy, because I was like, you know what? I mean, We have a friendly rapport at this point. She knows me. So she left that circle because she was getting tired of getting swarmed by y'all, including you, and was like, here's a familiar face of somebody that I know and I like. So I'm going to take a break from this crowd to speak to him. It is what it is. It wasn't like that in the beginning when I first met her. I was the one that had to go find her and make myself seen and known. We have to pretend girls need guys like you at the club. We have to pretend. I've been that person before, actually. Funny enough. People have no chill, so a known face when getting bombarded probably was great. I'm sure it seemed like it, because it seemed like she was relieved when she saw me. It seemed like she wanted to just get some space from that group, and then I was a convenient way to do so. She bust out of the group and she was like, "Hey, Mark," and then we were talking like on the side, and the group was just left behind. Appreciate it. Everyone compliments me on this jacket, right? I've had this jacket for 10 years as of this year. And it has just, I guess it's a jacket that just never goes out of style and never gets old. If I take this thing to the dry cleaners, which I do like every couple of years, it's like a brand new jacket. But even as is, people were complimenting it today when I went to the Tamron show, which was awesome, by the way. The Tamron show had these child prodigies, so it was really fun. That doesn't surprise when you look safe. Yeah, definitely, Van Hoot. I'm gonna reach out to you. Like, I don't know when you're gonna be free tomorrow, but I'll reach out to you, or tomorrow slash today. Basically, I'm gonna reach out to you and see what's up. Yeah, this one kid, the first kid. Oh my goodness, that's the one that you're gonna see me on camera when that comes out. Cause he came out and he was doing the drums and he was like 4, I think, and he was amazing. Like he could play the drums, the piano, instrument, like multiple instruments. He could dance. Like that kid was really, really good. The second girl. She makes her own cakes. The third one was somebody who does paintings. She sells paintings. She sold a painting for as much as $17,000. She made a painting in like 5 minutes on the show that was better than something that I could do if I spent 5 years on it. What was the other one? Was this 14-year-old, 13 or I think 13? This 13-year-old opera singer. The voice on this girl was like, whoa. I can't recall ever hearing, like, I could find that for you guys because I know that she was on America's Got Talent, so she's probably easy to find online. Her voice was she did a performance in the studio and we were all just mind blown by how good she was. I'm headed to sleep pretty soon also. But good night, Marshall. I probably got another 10 minutes in me. Yeah, honestly, I can't wait to edit my interview and to drop my interview. I'm aiming for either the 10th or the 11th, but I'm leaning more towards the 11th because when I drop it, I want to be able to sit and make it a premiere and then watch it with everybody and, comment in the comment section. Because I've learned the ways. I've learned the ways of people who do these pre-recorded interviews. Is what they do is they'll be like, the interview is dropping on such and such a day, and then they'll be like, join me. I'll be chatting with y'all in the comments, and then after the video drops, they do like a live video right after it, where they give where they let people give their feedback on how it went. So that's my aim. My aim is to drop it on Sunday. But I really want to make sure that it's edited. I want to finish editing it today so that I can send Kara a message and be like, this is the day that I'm dropping it. Because that would be helpful in terms of the advertising. Even though if she doesn't see my message on time and she doesn't post that it's upcoming, her posting it whenever is still going to benefit me. Like if she posts it a week after I put the interview up, it's still going to, people are still going to flock to it. But there is kind of a rush. The rush for me to do it Sunday is because the final episode of the challenge is today. The final episode of this season is today. The reunion, part 1 and part 2, is coming up the next 2 Wednesdays. And then we're into All-Star Season 5. So once All-Star Season 5 starts, the questions that I asked her about season 40, are not so relevant anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that nobody's gonna care, but I'm just saying that this is the peak time where people are gonna care the most. But it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing when I think about the people that I've gotten to connect with over the past few years and how I've just really connected with some of them. Like Amira, I know that when I mentioned that name a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, people were like, Amira? Amira, for reference, Amira from Big Brother 24, that was Taylor's season that everyone didn't like because they thought that she was a bully. I remember when I first met her, I didn't have an intent of really speaking to her. I mean, I was like, I'll speak to whoever for the most part, unless it's someone I really don't like. I can speak to whoever, but that was not one of my top priorities in terms of people to speak to. And I remember I was sitting down at a point because I was tired, because I was networking so heavy that day. That's when I used to think I could get all these Big Brother interviews. I talked to everyone in the room, and I got 11 interviews. I got 11 agreements to do interviews. Because obviously those 11 interviews, only one materialized out of the 11 people who agreed. But I thought I had 11 interviews secured. And I sat down, and then she sat down. She was just on her phone. So I kind of like went over to her. I spoke to her a little bit. I asked her a few questions. And then she started opening up, and I was so surprised. And she was just talking about her experience on Big Brother, regrets that she has, ways that she wasn't perceived, ways that she feels like she was mischaracterized. And, we had a very good, lengthy conversation about that. And then she was like, let me add you on Instagram. And we had plenty of conversations on Instagram about different things. And she's nice, honestly. Anytime I see her, which has been now pretty much all these Big Brother events that I go to. She comes to most of them, and she'll come right over to me. She'll say hi to me. She'll ask me how I'm doing, how's life. She actually gave me condolences when my dad passed. You know, like she's a nice person, and like I don't even remember my point of saying that. Oh, I guess I've made connections, even the ones that y'all don't see on the page. Cause there's like several people. I used to get annoyed by this. I'm like, how come you can spend all this time talking to me and answering all the questions? I can ask you any question in the world. Like I can ask you personal questions. I can ask you show questions. I can ask you production questions. And you'll answer all of those. When I speak to you, you'll even answer them in my DM. Where if I was that type of person, I could like screenshot it and put it out there like, hey, this person told me this and that. Here's behind the scenes about this. Even Kara, she told me some things, not this last time that I spoke to her, but like speaking to her in person, she told me some things that like related to the show that I'm like, okay, this is in the vault. I'm not even gonna ask you these questions at all in the interview because I know that those would be detrimental things to ask. Maybe, maybe that's what it is. But I used to be annoyed by that, but I now find it kind of cool because it's like they probably don't come to every fan with those types of things that they come and speak to me about. Procrastinate. Well, it's funny because I'm generally a procrastinator, but I take advantage of my opportunities. I do. When it's work, right? I'm like, if I finish my work on time, when I say work, I mean my 9 to 5 work. The best incentive that I get if I finish my work on time is more work. So I'm like, I can do that. I can get to this when I get to it. Um, the benefit of me finishing this video on time is that I'll have a peak amount of viewership because of the timing of when I put it out. Because the way that I viewed it in my head when she told me I have January 6th, I said, perfect. I'm not going to put it out before the finale because everybody's going to be focused on the finale. I'm not going to put it out during the reunion because everyone's going to be focused on the reunion. I'm going to put it out in the middle, which is after the finale finishes the second part, but before the finale airs, so that people have something to watch in between while they're waiting for the finale. And then it's possible that the finale, there will be things that are said by Cara in the finale that I can clip things that she said to me and connect those things to whatever is said in the finale. And I have ideas in my head. I really do. I really do have ideas in my head. I'm a chronic procrastinator, but not in this case. I kind of procrastinated a little bit when it came to coming up with Kara's interview questions, but I think that in the case of coming up with an interview question or coming up with interview questions with somebody who is like actively a part of a show right now, it means that the questions are always fluid. And what I mean by that is she was still being talked about and she was still talking about the show. So every time something new was said, I was like, all right, I can add this, I can add this, I can add this, I can add this. So it kind of went like that. All right, y'all. It's been about 54 minutes. I got another 5 minutes left. My experience of you is that when you're excited about something, you are very correct. I say this all the time. My life is fueled by passion. If I don't feel passionate about it, I'm going to put it to the side and I'm going to do it at the last minute because I don't want to do it. If I actually feel passionate about it, I am laser focused. I told you I woke up at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock Sunday morning, and sick from 6 o'clock in the morning till about 11 p.m. Sunday night. Oh shoot. My door swung open, so I had to close the door. From 6 o'clock in the morning until 11 p.m. that night, my my life was like everything Kara. I was like engulfed in Kara. What I mean by that was I was watching episodes of her season. I was locked into her social media. I was looking at fan pages. I'm like anything and everything that is Kara. One second. Yeah, anything and everything that is Kara was just going to be me for that period of time. I don't think I ever even really had a session like that. I mean, yes, I have spent hours on almost every interview, but not like that, where the day before I'm like beginning a day to end a day. I'm just locked in on this. I'm just locked in on getting everything together. And as you can see by my behind the scenes video, I still doubted myself. I was still like, I don't know how this is going to turn out, if it's going to be good. Yeah, I see things through. I would like, that's why this book that I haven't completed yet is burning a hole in my heart. That this book that I have completed since November of 2022 is not published yet. It's burning a hole in my soul. If it was something that I knew that I could accomplish by myself without assistance, I would have been done it. But it's like finding an editor, finding one that I can afford. There's multiple factors to that. But things that I can control, like this interview and this edit, and just putting the video out. The interview's done. I did the hardest part. Now it's just like a couple of little things that I need to do with it, and then schedule the post, and that's it. And yeah, I'm gonna think about it until I have put it out. I can't wait to put it out. I wish I could put it out the same day that I did it, honestly. I'm not that patient. But a passion project, passion projects, I really lock in the passion projects. I really super lock in to passion projects. Cause when I tell you I spent that much time, I'm not saying I spent that much time because I was like, oh, I'm gonna dedicate this whole day towards that. I just started working on it and then I was like excited. So then I would look at the time and I was like, man, now it's 8 o'clock. Now it's 9 o'clock. Then at about 10:30, I said, Mark, what more can you really even add to this thing? Right? Like you already have so many questions and you have so much material. Like what more can you add to it? You have to put this down. Like you have to put this down and go to bed. And then I get up the next day and then I spend a few more hours on it. Funny enough. Funny enough. So what she just walked into, which for her was just, you saw her like, she said, "What are you gonna ask me?" I said, "I don't know." I said, whatever I can fit into that hour. That's what I said to her, and she was just like, "Yeah, that's cool." Like she didn't prepare anything for it. It was just, I'm just gonna be my authentic self, which is all I asked for and all I needed. But that was a result of hours of work for me. Hours and hours of work for me. The culmination of hours of work. And I think I left my I think I left my phone in the car. Ah. And it's cold outside. That's the reason why I'm saying that. You might get some bonus minutes from me because I need my phone and I might have to run out to the car to get it. Unfortunately. Oh, man. There's two people that have ever done that. Kara and Sam. In Sam's case, it's like two different scenarios. Like in Sam's case, I gave her the time to meet me, which was 11 o'clock. She got there early. I mean, I got there early as well. I'm always early when it comes to those things. But I got there about 10:20. She got there about 10:50. Our meeting time was 11 o'clock. Ah, it is so cold. So are we back on? Whew. My apologies. Goodness. I think we're back on. All right. Oh, man. Yeah. This is real quick. Yeah, when I did the interview with Sam, the videographer was 2 hours late. Oh, let me make sure to plug in my work phone. 1 second. My brain froze because I just told you the videographer was 2 hours late when she was not. She was 45 minutes. She was 45 minutes late. That's what I was saying before my brain just froze. And so I was like, I don't know how long of a time that Sam is going to give me for this interview. And she told me, I'm here to get this interview completed with you. So don't worry about the time. I'm here until, like, you and I can just sit here and chill and wait for the videographer to get here. Whenever she gets here, we're gonna do this thing. And then on top of that, right after the videographer got there, it started raining. And when I say raining, I mean it was raining heavy. Like, it was raining to the detriment of the interview because to complete the interview, the sound of the rain was so loud that you actually couldn't really hear good enough for us to, like, do the interview when the rain was pouring that much. And that was another thing that happened. And I'm like, this is the worst thing ever. Sam was like, what's a little rain? She was like, we'll just sit here and wait till the rain passes. And then when it passes, we will, we will get the interview in. So don't stress yourself or worry yourself about it. And I was like, Sam is solid. That's why no matter however or wherever we stand presently, my appreciation for people does not go away like that. It's a permanent thing for me. So I'm going to appreciate that. Even if we never do another project again, I'm going to appreciate her for that one. Because that one meant a lot to me. But in the case of Kara, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know with Sam either. But the thing is, I know y'all have said, oh, it looked like you had a good rapport. But you think about it. I met her 2 times, right? This is not my personal friend. Despite the fact that, when you see us speaking, this would come across like this is my personal friend. Here we go. She's not actually my personal friend in the sense of, like, I mean, she'll say, hey, friend. You heard her say, hey, friend in my video, but I'm pretty sure that is what most people who generally, reach out to her and, fans that reach out to her, I'm pretty sure that's kind of what she does, what she says. So we're not personal friends like that. But So that means to me, she didn't give me any kind of assurances before we started that, like, hey, if we get to the hour and you're not done, we can extend past the hour. She never said anything like that to me. So I had it dead set in my head, like, let's make this thing an hour. Like I said, I got to 35 minutes. I wasn't even close to halfway done my questions. And I was like, Mark, what did you do? Like, the reason why I wasn't close to halfway done my questions was honestly because some interviews feel hard to do and some interviews feel easy. And when I talked to her, I felt the same way how I felt almost talking to Sam, in the sense of when I was speaking to Sam, I felt like I was talking to the friend that I had just never met before earlier in life. Like, this is a long lost friend. This is my long lost friend that I just didn't know was my friend until we connected, till we met. So that's the way I felt. So I was like going through the questions in a sense, but I was also like, I'm just enjoying the conversation. That's essentially me. That's why I have a hard time calling myself an interviewer, because I'm like, I like speaking to people, and especially when I like the person and I connect with them, it doesn't feel like I'm doing a job or anything like that. So getting caught up in spending too much time per question and everything like that, and then listening to some things that she had to say, um, I was just listening, and then I look at the time and I'm like, 55 minutes. And we still aren't on anything from this season after 55 minutes. And I still have more questions before I get to the season. And then I was like, hey, Car, we're almost at an hour. So I just want to, ask, or I just want to respect your time and just ask you how much more time you have. And then she was just like, basically, I haven't been looking at the time. Get your questions off. And I was like, phew. That made me feel so much better when she told me that she wasn't looking at the time. And the interview ended. I mean, it was getting close to ending anyways, but it really only ended because her phone went to 1%, and she was like, my phone's at 1%. So I was like, okay, got to wrap it up really quick and just cut it off from here and go from there. So you never know, so there's always a what if. So I get it. So I get. I only had a gut feeling that I trust, but it's not 100% accurate. Um, yeah, you were right, and Vicky was right, and one or two other people who told me that they think that she would give me the time. It's not that I thought that she wouldn't give me the time, it's that I've dealt with so many of these people before where I have felt like we have a good rapport. Like, this is not a diss to Hannah, because y'all know I always sing Hannah's praises every chance that I get. So don't take it out of context. But when we did our interview together, we agreed to a time. All right, we're going to do the interview at, let's say 12 o'clock p.m. I think it was 12 o'clock p.m. So she showed up. She was like, I'm sorry, I'm just in the middle of moving to Washington, and then I have somebody who's coming in to deliver some furniture, and I don't want to be mid-interview and then the furniture guys coming in and disrupting this. So can we do 12:30? This is supposed to be an hour interview, 12 to 1. And then I don't remember how long the thing went. I think it was probably like 40 minutes, something like that, maybe. But 12:35, 12:40, she gets on, and then she's like, so I'm like, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it was a Saturday, I think. So it's like that's neither here nor there, as long as I get my hour. So I'm assuming that I'm gonna get my hour. And then 12:40, and then she gets on there and she's like, I have to go to class at, I don't know, 1:30. So she's late, and then she has to go in less than an hour, and then she has to leave to get to this class. So she was basically telling me I have about 30 minutes. So I was like, because we agreed to this hour. I mean, I know that she didn't have much control over that, but the whole point of the matter is I came prepared with an hour of stuff, and I didn't get to ask it because she had another obligation going on that, didn't allow for her to get there on time. And then she had to leave early. And look at the report we had. We spoke much more and longer than I spoke to Kara. Like uh, I had known Hannah for like a year. No, 2022, 2023. Yeah, I had known her for about 2024. Yes, I had known her for about a year already by the time that I got that interview from her. So I would think that that's somebody who would give me my hour and maybe and then some because he has such a good rapport. But even with that good rapport, she came late, she left early, and I didn't get my hour. So I'm like, I go into these things with lower expectations than I used to. And I'm like, if somebody does something like that for me, then they exceed my expectations. So that's kind of the mindset I was going in with her. I'm like, the feel that I have for Kara, based on the discussions that I've had and the things that she has said to me, make me feel like she'll give me a max amount of time that she can give me. But I don't want to go in there and assume that she's going to do that and then walk out of there disappointed when that doesn't happen. So, and also y'all will see when I said, "Oh, I think that star thing that I did for her actually meant a lot to her." She said that in the interview. So it went a longer way than I really thought it did. I thought that it was just like, "Oh, that's a pretty cool gift." No, she said it was the best thing that she ever received from a fan, and I felt like that comment was very genuine. Huge relief just to be, yeah. And I had Hannah rush me, I had Wes rush me before, I had Shuby rush me. Like I've had about three interviews, those three that I can think of, where the person gave me an exact amount of time and then either gave me less than that time or gave me exactly that time. And it made me anxious towards the end. And they even said in the footage, like, Mark, I have 5 minutes and then I have to go. And then I had to cut that out of the footage because I didn't want the fandom to feel my anxiety of trying to like wrap up the interview really quick. It's not just about rapport. That's true. Yeah, actually, that's pretty true. I mean, like Hannah's nice to me, but if you look at Kara, not just with me, but if you happen to see her social media page or like certain things that she puts out and there's a Kara's cult for a reason. There's a reason why there's people who really follow her as hardcore like that. Um she's really nice to people and she's really nice to the fans, and like a Hannah is nice in her own way, but you're right, it's not like the same kind of nice. I see her as much less of a sentimental type person, and it's like when I see her, it's just like, "Hey, Mark, it's good to see you." It's like I'm cool with you, but it's not the same kind of. When I walked into the Challenge Mania thing and she saw me, instantly she was on the stage and she waved over to me from the stage. And then when I got to the back, in the spot where her and Polly were in the back, and they were signing autographs and taking pictures and stuff, she was like, "There he is. I was waiting to see you." Like she will, when she knows you and she likes you, she's really warm. Whereas like a Hannah's like lukewarm. She's like lukewarm. And Wes is like, I don't even know how to describe him, but he told me that I was one of his favorite fans also. Um, but he's not particularly warm either. He's business like. But I think that he's like that in general. I don't even think that's just a thing with fans. I feel like he shows people love with the way that he treats them more so than being somebody who's, you know, comes off as like super loving. Like you got to be within his circle to actually and understand him to actually know that that's what he's doing. This is what I'm saying. I have made different things for different people, and yes, everybody I have made those things for has enjoyed them to some degree, but not to the degree of Kara, because it was not just that she appreciated the gift itself. She understood the concept. She understood like what I was thinking when I created it. It was like, oh, he took the time to create 3 stars to represent the 3 star disadvantage, basically, or Laurel's advantage that she got in the final. Like, I can't believe that this was the thing that he thought to bring me. So there would not have been the same. It would have been like, thank you, like that's nice, I appreciate it, but it would have not been the same type. Just like when I walked in with the Carl outfit, when Tori saw it, I mean, she was like, "That's cool," She was pretty nonchalant about that. Um, but Carl was like, "You got the stars on the pants, and then you got Stargate on the shirt, and then you had the Carl outfit." She was like, "This is fantastic. You should win a prize for the attention to detail that you put into these things." I'm like, nobody has ever said that before. Yeah, I don't take it personal. I used to take it personal. I'm not gonna lie. Now, being 2 to 3 years in, I don't take any of that personal. But at the start, I took everything personal. I'm like, I take it personal if I see you, I shake your hand, and you agree to do something with me, and you don't do it. Like I had like a beef, not a beef. I had a problem with Azza because of that. Because I'm like, Azza, like me and you have spoken so many different times. You're like, we got this African connection. I definitely wanted. We were discussing the different things that we were gonna talk about in our interview, this and that, and she just ignored me. But yet, when she saw me the next time, it was like, hey, good to see you, Mark. Blah blah blah. I felt a way about that. I'm like, how did you agree to do this interview with me? And we had it all set, locked in, and you just, I don't know, ghosted me or whatever. And but then I was just like, you know what? Everybody's different. Yeah. Yeah, in the interview, she was like, I still have them. She said she has them in her, what did she say? Her media room? She's like, I have them in my media room, and every time I see them, they make me happy. I got a kick out of that because I'm pretty sure most things that I've given most of these people, they don't have them. Like they felt happy in the moment, like, oh, I'm getting something from a fan, but I feel like they don't have those things anymore. And if I said, can you produce that for me, they're like, honestly, half the time, like Olivia, I gave her a trophy, like a custom made trophy that I got custom made. And I gave it to her. And then the next time I saw her, I still had to spend time explaining who I was. She remembered, but she didn't instantly remember. And I had just seen her a few months before that. I know these fan events have lots of fans, but not just that I gave her the trophy, I also spoke to her at length. You know, we had a lengthy conversation. So half of them, you know, like you do things to them, they don't even remember you the second time. She remembered me instantly. Yeah, and then the thing was, I remember we had a conversation about it. She was like, Mark, my mission is to get these things home to my house in one piece. And she was like, I'm going to San Diego tomorrow, and then I'm going to Paris straight from San Diego. And she was like, I have to get this thing from where I am to my home in Florida. She's like, that's my mission. And I think she wasn't home for like 2 to 3 weeks from the time that I met her because she was traveling all over the place and took them in her luggage to all those different places. And then they ended up at the crib, which I was like, shout out to my dog at the crib. No, I told her, this is when I tell you guys that yesterday I worried a little bit about, not yesterday, Sunday. Yesterday was Monday. Yeah, yesterday I worried a little bit about spending too much time on that background, but I'm like, the background is important to let people know a little bit about who I am and the impression that I make on people, because at the end of the day, whether you're a challenger, a big brother, survivor, whatever you are, you're just a person. Like when I meet you out in whatever venue, um in Manhattan or wherever I see you, you're just a person. So you're a person that has insecurities, a person who has ups and downs and in betweens. So when I can meet somebody from one of these things and like give them that type of feeling from whatever interaction that I had with them, it makes me feel good. It definitely makes me feel good. So I'm like, that 10 to 15 minutes that we spent just talking about how the interview came about and my interactions with her and those parts of it, I think that's the part that will make repeat followers that will come here, you know, after Cara leaves the page. Because I'm not saying that she will never do anything for my page again. And as a matter of fact, I think if I asked her, I think that, you know, if the stars align and maybe one day, maybe next year, or maybe this year, when she has one of those, when they have one of those reality TV things, I can plan for it. And I can be like, I'm going to spend the money to go out to Orlando and meet all these different people and do an in-person interview with Cara and meet all these other people from these other shows and stuff and hang with them for a weekend. You know, like maybe that's going to be in the cards for this year. And I wouldn't doubt that even if that specific thing is not in the cards, that I could ask her for like a follow-up. And now I feel like it's a good possibility that, you know, she has the time. She might even cash me in on that free one. But the point of the matter is, she's not going to be on my page 10 times. She's not going to be on the page 20 times. So the majority of the page is just going to be me. So I have to show people something as to why people gravitate towards me. That has to be something that is shown. So I decided not to skimp out and sell myself short on the introduction. I made the introduction in full with all those details, and we had a discussion about all that stuff first before we even started talking about the show. And some people are going to be like, I don't care about this. Let me skip ahead to when you start talking about season 40, or when you start talking about whatever, Laurel, or when you start talking about your relationship with Tori and stuff. Like, that's cool. Like, there's going to be those people. But like I said on my other live on the day of, I'm not expecting 100% of the people who jump on there just for that video to stay on my page. But if I get a dedicated 5 to 10% that stays, then mission is accomplished. Really. It might not sound like a lot, but let's say I have 1,300 on my page right now. 10% is like 130. And if those 130 people, if even half of them, like, what would that be, 65? If like 65 of them stuck around and we're now like, I'm part of the Mindful Reality family, it makes a difference. You definitely are, Charicity. It makes a difference. It makes a difference because I used to feel a way how during the Big Brother season, oh, I have all these constant stream of people, supporters, and this and that. And then as soon as the Big Brother season ends, I have like 5 to 10 consistent people that are always there. But I realize those 5 to 10 consistent ones are the ones that actually provide me the most and the best support. So every one of them matters to me. And anyways, I stood on here for an extra however long this has been, but I'm jumping off now. Good night. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. Hold me accountable, y'all. I'm trying to get this thing done by Sunday.